I think we are live, doing a late night one today, and we're going to do an unboxing once my video stream begins arriving everywhere. We are going to be unboxing and testing, here we go, a new Acer laptop that I got in here. And I thought it might be fun, though, before we start, to watch the launch of the Starlink rocket that's going up in a little bit. That is what you see right there. So I thought maybe we would do that, and then when we're done watching that, then we'll start messing around with the laptop, because this is going to go in like 2 minutes. And if you're thinking, Lon, didn't they just do this like 2 days ago with people? And they did, and now they're putting more of these satellites up. Isn't this crazy? They don't stop. They keep going. So they're about 1 minute and 46 seconds to go here. So I thought, why don't we watch the launch together, and then after the launch, we'll get the laptop unboxed and whatnot. Wouldn't that be fun? So let me know if you're okay with that, and we'll do that. I'm just getting myself situated here. So what I got in, we got 1 minute and 28 seconds to go here. So what I got in is this laptop from Acer. This has got the R7 or the R7-4700U. What has it got in here? Yeah, R7-4700U, the Ryzen 7 4700U. This is the brand new one. We looked at this the other day with an Intel processor about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So this is like the same computer, but with a different chip inside, which is going to be great because we could do a real head-to-head here. And it looks like we got, oh, we're almost into the mix here. So let's turn the audio on here.
Go for lunch.
And we'll see what happens. So this is the 5th time that they've launched this rocket. They have not recovered one of these 5 times. So this is kind of a new thing here, or at least it would be a milestone if they can retrieve this rocket. This has launched, I think, 2 other Starlink missions. And let's listen in. And thank you, Sean Flay, for your super chat contribution. I'll say hello to everybody else in a second here once we get the launch going.
10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
0. Ignition. Liftoff.
And this is the Starlink. This is another 60 satellites on top of the 420 that are already up there. And there it goes. And they're going to try to get this booster back on the drone ship. And we'll get to the laptop here in a minute, everybody. I just felt like it'd be kind of fun. This was going on right when I started, so I said, hey, let's watch this together. Isn't this fun? So off it goes. And it's a night launch. I've never been to a night launch before. I was at a launch that was supposed to be a night launch, but they canceled it at the T0 mark. So the rocket lit up. We heard it,
we are
but didn't go anywhere.
40 seconds into flight, and Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, carrying our Starlink payload to its targeted drop-off orbit. Moments ago, we did throttle down our engines in preparation for Max Q, and that is the maximum aerodynamic pressure, which is the largest structural load that the vehicle will see. That's coming up here in a few seconds.
Max Q.
And there's that call out that we have just passed through Max Q. In about a minute, we will have 3 events happening back to back. The first of which will be main engine cutoff or.
So what I wanted to do here real quick is just watch this, because this is, like I said, the milestone here. This is a Starlink mission, and we'll get to the unboxing here in a second. The Starlink mission today is going to put another 60 of those internet satellites up in orbit. So they're at 420 now. This will bring them to 480. And then this booster that's taken it up, this is the 5th time it's launched. So if they have not yet had a single booster land 5 times, the last one they did for Starlink was supposed to be a 5-timer, but it went into the drink. So they are attempting to make it happen this time. Let me put the audio back on for you.
Seconds away from those 3 events. Again, that is MECO, stage separation, and SES-1, or second engine start 1.
All right, so here goes Miko, right about here, main engine cutoff, as they say. Then you'll see that first stage kind of drop off.
Miko.
And by the way, this is
Stage
not a
separation
misleading
confirmed.
title. We are going to be looking at the laptop in a little bit. I just figured, hey, we could watch this together. Boom, there it goes. So that's the second stage lighting
And
up.
there you can see on your screen, on the left screen, we had main engine cutoff and stage separation. On your right screen is the second stage MVAC engine lighting up, glowing bright red there. And it is a bit dark on the East Coast, but you can see on your left screen that first stage, those grid fins are deploying. And on your right screen, we have fairing deploy coming up here.
Separation confirmed.
And there is that confirmation of fairing deploy.
They're also going to try to get back those fairings today too. They've got a couple of boats out there with these huge. They have these huge nets, and the nets they're going to catch the fairing. I think they've caught one already, one like half of the fairing, because apparently that fairing costs a lot of money. So they reuse the first stage. Again, this is the fifth attempt now to land this particular booster. They land the booster and they recover the fairing, and the only thing that doesn't come back is the second stage, and that will burn in the atmosphere. So they're going to not leave that up there. But Jason Jones says, you think there's too many satellites up there? They've got a lot up there for this thing. There's a lot of stuff that's up there. If you go into like a website like Heavens Above, which is a great site, it has like a database of this stuff that's floating around up there. And there's like rocket parts from old Soviet rockets from the 70s and 60s still up there that are just floating around. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I figured let's just watch this until the thing lands on the barge, and then we'll get to work. It's not going to be that much longer. So and the deployment's pretty cool. Maybe we'll keep an eye on this, and then we'll switch back to the deployment in a little bit. So we'll see what happens here if they can get this one to land. It's amazing too when you think about like how fast it gets to where it is and how long it takes for it to fall back down. It's pretty crazy. James Cobb says he hopes they get the reflectivity down. So that's been the one issue that people are concerned about with these, is that they do reflect quite a bit. Although I guess they've been painting the new batches to something a little less reflective. So it should go down. And I guess as they get into their final altitude, it'll be a little better as well. And Boba says he doesn't mind watching the launch. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It was funny because I've been waiting for these. So I have two of these. I've got this one, and then I have a Lenovo that came in today, and they were supposed to come yesterday. And I scheduled my entire week out of around these two things showing up, and they didn't come at all yesterday. They were supposed to be here yesterday, and they didn't get here at all. They were like on the truck to be here, and then the truck never showed up. So then the truck came today. And I thought, oh, maybe they'll drop it off at 10. I'll get the kids settled, and I'll do a live stream during the afternoon. And they didn't get here till like 5:30. So there you go. What we'll do with the laptop is we'll unbox it, and we'll look at all of it. John Moshi says, was Gravity the movie an accurate portrayal of what could happen in space? No, it was largely panned for its inaccuracy. I think the floating around the space station stuff was okay, but I think the proximity of things in orbit was certainly, not, like I think at one point she kind of floats from, one end of, like from her station to the Chinese one or something. Like it was not, a lot of the space folks were like, no thanks on that one. All right, so what you're seeing now is the entry burn. So if you watch my video of the Falcon Heavy launch that we did a while ago, we saw this from the ground. So it lights up to slow down. So it's burning its engine now to slow itself down, and then it's going to turn off like it just did, and now it's going to keep dropping. And then right before this is, I don't know what it's doing. I don't think it's supposed to be doing that. What's insane about this is that it comes down so fast. Okay, here's the barge. So let's see what happens. I'll put the audio back on.
burn around T plus 8.5 minutes, around 8 minutes and 24
So they're
seconds.
expecting it pretty shortly. You'll see that barge start to it'll start rumbling
Looks
there.
like we lost
They'll
that
probably
live
lose the
view
signal
of
from
the
it.
first stage coming down,
But the fact that they lost the camera is not a good thing, not a good sign.
right now what
Stage
you're
1 is
seeing,
transonic.
Oh, maybe they still have it.
right
Okay.
now what you're seeing on your left screen is the drone ship just read the instructions. Followed very closely after the landing burn and landing of the first stage will be SECO 1, that is second engine cutoff, around T plus 8 minutes and 58 seconds.
So Lewis asked me if I could buy a Tesla, a car, Cybertruck. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Let's see. See it? See how bright it just got?
Oh, go ahead.
And rarely does the signal hold when they're landing on the barge, but let's see.
Landing
So
legs have deployed.
Stage 2 FTSS saved.
Oh, yeah, look at that. We saw it. And they...
And wow, as you saw coming
is it sliding?
down,
RTI,
that
we
first
got
stage
landed.
Falcon 9.
Landing operators moving to procedure 11.100 on recovery 1 and ECF 9.
Amazing, that first stage booster has landed for the first time, for the 5th time for a Falcon 9 booster. That is amazing. We're waiting for a second.
And that's going to save them a ton of money because they can turn that booster around and fly it again on the next Starlink mission. And that's why SpaceX is doing this. They can get these satellites up for a lot less money than their competitors because they can reuse the rockets. See, it slid a bit though, didn't it? I think we all saw that sliding, but it's unusual to get that to stay on the whole time. But there you go. Yeah, and what's crazy is when you see these wider shots of it, like how does it get to it? It's just insane because it's just tiny little barge in the big ocean. I mean, the ocean's huge when you're coming down from that altitude, right? And it just goes right there. It's GPS, but the barge also communicates with the booster, so they know where each other are. So, yeah, pretty cool. And what's crazy is on the Falcon Heavy missions where they have 2 of these things, to see them both coming down at the same time, it's just like, it's like straight out of science fiction. It's amazing. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. So now it's in its like the cruise phase. The deployment's going to be for a while. So yeah, that fun part was just the part we just saw. So I am going to turn that off because we're gonna get to work. We're gonna have some fun tonight, everybody, because let me get a better shot here. I got in the Acer Swift 3. Let me start the Amazon stream here and get going there. So let me do a quick cut and we'll go live on Amazon in 3, 2, 1, and we are on Amazon now too. Perfect. So today we're going to unbox the Acer Swift 3. This one has the Ryzen 7-4700U processor. We reviewed a Swift 3 already on the channel. Let me get my knife out here. But this one is different because it has the AMD processor. So the other one we looked at was Intel based, and I'm excited to try this one out because it's rare that I get the Intel version and the AMD version of the same laptop. So that's going to be fun. Now, Travis, I hate to disappoint you with this, that you cannot get transcoding going on an AMD chip because it supports, unless they've changed something recently, it only supports Intel QuickSync, and I think the NVIDIA encoders too, but it doesn't support AMD. So these things are never good. All right. So let's get this thing unboxed here, and we'll see what's inside. So I think I was going to shoot an unboxing video, but I've already unboxed the Swift 3 already. But maybe I'll do an unboxing anyhow, because why not, right? So let me get my camera 4 going here, and we'll get the overhead shot also. Anonymous is here. John Moshi says that Acer is the unsung hero in computer laptops. Yeah, I think they make some pretty low-cost devices, and they're getting better. Like that Acer Swift 3, the Intel one that I looked at, was probably one of the nicest I've seen them make. Lewis wants to know, is there news on the Ryzen 4200G or 4400G? I have not been following it that closely, so I don't know the answer to that. And give me 1 second here. I just want to look up some info on that processor in here too. So we're going to get that going. I've been very eager to get one of these in because what I'm hearing is that these are 8 cores too, huh? That this is like a dramatic improvement in performance over the prior edition of these Ryzen processors. Now we did a whole week of Ryzen laptops of the prior generation, and they're all pretty good. I mean, the performance is actually quite good on these, on the other ones. I mean, it was good for video editing. It was far. I mean, there's a laptop on. Let me put my screen up here. There is a laptop that you can find on Amazon from Acer, the Swift, not the Swift. What is it? The Aspire 5. It's $349, and my video's on there. You can watch the review when you go to the product listing, and it's a great laptop for the money. I mean, you can't beat it. So it's really, really good. So we're going to. There we go. All right, I just want to get my screen up here so I could look at that, that thing there. So let me close this out, and I'm going to go back and just close this NDI thing because I don't need it. And we'll take a look at the processor specs. So this is a Ryzen 7 4700U processor, 8 cores, octa-core, 7 GPU cores. So that's a pretty beefy chip in this thing. And this one is $649. So this is, kind of at the mid-range, not too expensive, but it's, a little more than what you might otherwise pay. And what I'm curious about is just what the other one that we looked at recently. I think that one might cost the same. So let's take a look at the Swift 3. Bear with me for 1 second. I just want to see if... All right, so this one's $649. The Intel version, they've got a bunch of different ones because they have one like with a GPU and everything. The Intel one I looked at recently, I think was around the same price with the 10th generation chip. So it may not be. Let me check. I should probably know this because people might ask. Bear with me for 1 second here. Let me just look it up real quick, and we'll get things going. And so what we'll do is we'll boot it up. The first thing I'm going to do with it is do some benchmarks. And then after that, we'll look at a couple of games and we'll see. I don't want to go too late tonight because it's late already. But like I said, this one came in a lot later than I would have liked. Bear with me. I'm just trying to find my review of this thing. And then we will get to the unboxing. All right. I just got a text message from a friend of mine who I used to work with in my old job. He lives on the Space Coast now, so he's seeing the rockets go off every night or two. All right, and just give me 1 more second here, folks, and then we'll get going. All right, so we'll look for my Ryzen, not Ryzen. This is Swift 3. This one has the Ryzen, but we looked at one with the Intel. Okay, so the one that I looked at before, back in April, and this has got this. The other one had the 10th generation whatever. Here, I'll put this up on screen so you can see what I'm looking at here. All right, so the Swift 3. Oh, it looks like it's not on. I mean, it's on Amazon, but they're not in stock. So these are selling for more, but I'm pretty sure the price on this one was about the same. Now what you're going to see me unbox almost looks identical to this one. But all right, let's get to it. So I'm going to record this just for the heck of it. Why not, right? 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. We're doing another unboxing today of another Acer Swift 3. Now we looked at this back in April, but the one we looked at was the Intel version. This is the AMD Ryzen version. This one's got the R7-4700U processor inside. This is an 8-core chip with improved graphics over the last generation. So we'll be unboxing it now, and then I'll have a full review up on my main channel at Lon.TV. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this unboxing, nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. So let's get into it here and see what's in the box. So we've got our usual pieces of documentation here, and then we've got some more stuff underneath here, including a setup guide, some warranty cards, and it looks like a international warranty thing or something. And let's get into the rest of it here. Now, I really liked the Intel version of this because it was very lightweight. It felt pretty premium for kind of a mid-tier laptop. And I expect that this one will look the same because it's the same design, just with a different chip inside. So let's open it up here. So here you go. Very, very nice. And yeah, pretty cool. This is not a 2-in-1. It's just a laptop, but you can see the screen goes flat. Maybe the other one I looked at, no, it was a laptop. Yeah, so the color is different on this one, but still looks pretty nice. You got a nice big gap there in between the two sections. Oops. It is not fanless. You'll have a fan on there, so we'll talk about fan noise on it. Keyboard looks nice here. I think it's a backlit keyboard too. I need to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. This is a 14-inch 1080p display. On the side here, we've got power. We have a USB Type-C port. Now, the other one we looked at with Intel had a Thunderbolt port. This one is just USB-C. And I don't know if it does video out, so we'll test that in the full review. But you do have a full-size HDMI port here. We've got a USB 3 port over here. This is a full-size port. On the other side, we've got a headphone microphone jack. This looks like a USB 2.0 port, so you probably want to plug your hard drives in on the other side. And then you've got a Kensington lock here for locking it down. Fingerprint reader over here for security. And it feels pretty nice. Not too bad here. Pretty lightweight. And we'll boot it up and get testing on it. While that's going, let's take a look at the power supply. It is your standard run-of-the-mill power supply here. Again, it's not a USB-C power supply. It's got the barrel connector there. And it looks like we're probably looking at about 60 watts typically with one of these things. So I think that's probably about where this one is as well. So we'll clarify that in the full review. So overall, pretty nice little laptop here. I'm going to plug it in and get the battery going and start evaluating it. And we'll have a full review soon on my main channel at Lon.TV, so stay tuned. Okay, good. So I'm just going to log that clip, and then we'll get this thing set up. So bear with me here for a second, and we'll go from there. Matthew Stevenson, thank you very much for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Yeah, I bought 2 of these. You know, what's interesting is these companies often don't have a lot of evaluation units of the AMD devices for some reason. So I just said, you know what, let's just buy it, because I think there's enough interest in this that I shouldn't have a hard time having one of you purchase it from me at a lower price. So that's good. Hojo Joe says he heard the screen is horrible. Yeah, you know, the screen wasn't horrible on the prior one that I looked at. Oh, you know what? The webcam on this one is damaged. I may have to send this back afterward because there is a, like the lens, the plastic lens is not there. So let's see if it fell out or something. I don't see it anywhere. You look inside the, yeah, it's missing like the little lens that goes over the little piece of plastic or whatever. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the display was the one thing on the other one that I remember knocking. It was a little too dark. So we'll see how this one looks in comparison. And what's interesting is that when you have, and I often look at a lot of this stuff. It's interesting to see what what things they decide to not go cheap on, maybe they go cheap on, things that they look at to try not to break the budget, right? They try to hit a price point, and so they'll put in like a couple things that are really good, and then they'll skimp out on some other stuff to save some money. And that happens quite often. So we'll get this going. Now what I did already is I downloaded a bunch of games, so we'll have some things to look at. The keyboard is backlit, I can confirm that. And let's get it booted up. All right. And R.W. Stark grew up in Stuart, Florida. Anonymous wants to know if I am from Florida. No, I am from Connecticut, actually, but I go to Florida a lot. I love Florida because it's nice and warm there. Of course, right now it's starting to get nice and warm here, too. So, well, you know what, the display, I mean, granted, we're just at the Windows Cortana screen here, but
Hi there. I'm Cortana,
I can't stand the
and I'm here
Cortana
to
voice.
help.
We're
A
going
little sign in
to
here,
turn you off.
if I show up.
There you go. It looks like the other one did. I mean, it's not terrible. But I think the problem is that when you're in the market for one of these and you're looking at all of your and you have to figure out what do you need to do. And if you're looking for color accuracy and the best display, that's going to cost you. And once again, we're back. Comcast is doing its thing again, everybody. Is that we will stay up throughout this whole thing. Hopefully. Once again, my investment time and money in the Amazon Media Live streaming system has saved the stream. So what happens when my network glitches out, which happens all the time, I have to send them another note because this was supposed to be getting fixed and they haven't responded to me. Yeah, I was thinking about doing that one-man show, but I didn't know if it would work well on the Amazon platform. So I'm just going to connect to my Wi-Fi here real quick. But what it does now is that when my broadcast from here to Amazon drops, their streaming platform can put up what's called a slate, which is that network problem thing that you saw there. So that gets us back in place here. So we're in good shape. All right. R.W. Stark was born on the subbase in Groton, Connecticut. Yeah, that's not too far from me, actually. So it's pretty close there. Okay, so we're on the network. And what I was going to say is I did my video finally of how I set up a VLAN for my IoT devices. And that video is coming up soon. So we will be doing that. All right, so the next thing we've got to do is download all the drivers and all the updates and stuff, and then we'll get going. Again, the good news is I've already, on this hard drive, downloaded a bunch of Steam games and stuff. So once I get Steam installed, we'll be good to go. And we just have to go through all of the rigmarole here. And I know a lot of you are not going to be happy with me, but I'm going to log in with my Microsoft account because it's quicker. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. And I have a little temporary account that I can log into here. So Travis, thank you for your super chat. So I've tempered my criticism of Comcast a bit because they are going to hook up Gigabit Pro to my house. So we are getting the 2 gigabit symmetrical connection. And then I got a question here from, who's asking the question? Somebody was asking a question about an SSD, and I don't know who did. But the question was the SSD size. So this has 8 gigs of RAM and a 512 gigabyte SSD. The RAM, though, is not upgradable. So you have to choose your RAM carefully, because if you don't, you will be stuck with that forever. So that's something just to keep in mind on that. I got to do my two-factor authentication here real quick for my Microsoft account. By the way, I got that Game Pass, and I got it because they had a deal a while ago where you could convert your Xbox Gold to Game Pass Ultimate. And let me tell you something, that is a deal. I'm good for like 2.5 years. I think I'm good till like 2022. And my daughters and I have been playing it quite a bit. Use my finger. Let's get the fingerprint programmed here. Why not? Mr. Gardo says, is there an M2 slot? There is an M2 slot. Oops, the fingerprint reader disconnected? Well, that's not good. I didn't disconnect that. How do you disconnect it? All right, touch the fingerprint sensor. There we go. Touch it again. Okay, here we go. There is an M2 slot for that SSD. It's an NVMe SSD, but it's only one, so you can't put another one in. Yeah, I'm telling you, this thing might be a little problematic. The lens is missing from the camera. Try another angle. And it's not reading my finger here anymore. I wonder if this one's going to be kind of a lemon, because that's not a good sign that that's not working. Let's try it again. Okay, try another angle. There we go. Okay. All right, I just got to set up my pin here real quick. And yeah, so the Game Pass has been great. We've been playing a lot of games on it. What did we play? We played, we got the Untitled Goose Game. My daughters loved that. Now they're playing the Goat Simulator. They think that's really fun. Do more devices? No. Activity history. I'm not doing activity history. It's amazing how many things they want to get from you here. If you're curious as to pricing and everything, I have a link in the description, which will take you to this live stream on Amazon. So you can actually watch me on Amazon. And I've got a few things that I linked to in the product carousel that you can check out. All right, I think we're back now. And, oh my goodness. You know, this process of getting onto this thing is getting more and more, like they ask more and more questions of you when you log in. It's just, it's crazy. All right. And now she's doing a couple other things for us, and then we'll be coming back. So give her a second here to do her thing. But yeah, this you know, part of the problem I have with my connection is that I live out in a kind of a, I'm not in the suburbs, but I'm not quite rural, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of like close to the suburbs, but not too close. And you know, we have these 2-acre subdivisions out here. It's a really nice area, but Comcast relies upon analog cable. You know, this is running off of, you know, old coax cable, and it gets brought to a fiber node. Jose, you don't need to ask a million times. If you go to the link, it'll take you right over to Amazon, but it's $6.49. All right, so let's see if and the screen. And actually, if some folks can maybe in the chat, just so I don't have to keep, look, I don't mind answering questions, but believe me, if we can have some help out in the chat. This is a 1080p display, 14 inches, IPS. Some in the chat say the display isn't that nice, but it doesn't look terrible to me for the price point. And I always look at this stuff based on, what's the price point, right? Is it nice for what it is? It looks okay. I mean, it's a matte finish, so it's not going to be all that shiny, and it looks pretty good. So, Louis, I'm going to try a bunch of games. I got a few that I installed on the drive here, and I look at this. I try to look at the same ones as much as I can, just because that you want to have some consistency between reviews. So we've got GTA 5. We have, I guess some of these are older games, but we looked at this a lot, so I'm able to see like how is this one better than the other one. I think we can look at The Witcher 3. I also have Game Pass, so I might try to get a few on here as well. But the problem is I can't install the Game Pass. I can install them on an external drive, but I can't. It has to be installed, I think, on the computer that downloaded it, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, so you can tell me. So I do have access to Game Pass, and we can download a few others. The problem is we have to wait for those games to download, which is always a bore. All right, so let's go get Steam on this thing real quick. One thing I'm noticing is that it's got a lot of things already installed. So there's a button here to take you right to Amazon. There you go. You got Firefox installed already. I'm not seeing the Acer collection. So there's a couple of things here that are pre-installed. I'm probably going to take the, oddly, this is actually a pleasant surprise. It doesn't have some lousy antivirus installed. It has none. It has just the Microsoft one, which is good. So let's first check and make sure we don't have any Windows updates to do, because I like to get the updates installed before I do any real testing here, and I'm just curious to see what it has. Oh my goodness, quite a few. So let's let it download a few of those things. And while that's going, we will grab Steam and get that set up so we don't waste too much time here. And usually this is something that Jake does for me, and he's gonna do that with the Lenovo computer tomorrow, because it takes time to get these things set up and tested. There's a lot of stuff that you gotta do. So we're gonna get Steam installed here, and there's a lot of things that I know that people like me to test too. So you have to, make sure you got all the basics covered and whatever. So tonight, I'm gonna have more to do with this, but I think tonight we'll just do the games. And the first thing I want to do, and I'm always excited when I get a new generation of processor in, because I'm really eager to see, how does this one line up with the Ryzen 3 series that we looked at last month, 2 months ago, but also how this Swift 3 compares to the Swift 3 that we looked at recently with the Intel chip. So that's something that I'm very eager to see. But it's good to get those updates done first, because otherwise they're running in the background and you're not getting a good test. So you got to be really careful to do all that. So let's proceed to Steam, and then we'll attach my drive here and make sure that the drive can get read. I got to install Steam, I guess, huh? I went to the website. I didn't install it actually, so let me grab that. So there are 3 million people playing games on Steam right now, and there's 14.3 million online. And that seems like a lot, right? But when you think about the install base of the PlayStation and the Xbox, that's a very small number in comparison, right? But the good news is that the games can be easily ported over. Oh, I'm sorry, I spoke too soon. It has Norton antivirus on here. So I guess it does have it hadn't loaded yet. So we're gonna, and it's installing drivers for Realtek Audio. Oh, is that interesting? Does it have? Okay. So we're going to get rid of this Norton antivirus also. Because my thing is, if you only got 8 gigs of RAM, which is all this one has, the Microsoft antivirus is fine. I mean, you need to practice good behavior on your computer. You got to be careful about what you're clicking on. But I just don't see the need anymore for this software. And then you get all the firewall stuff that makes it difficult to, you know, this stuff is like what makes my parents call me, right? So, and there's nothing against Norton. I think if it works for you, great. But I just don't see the need for it. And I don't like how these things come pre-installed and then you get all this nagging about this or that, you know, do your subscription over. The Microsoft Defender is fine. But again, you just got to be careful. You can't just click on everything. Jared says Steam is probably still the best platform for buying PC games. Yeah, I agree with that. And what I like about Steam is that it's just super portable. And I have a Mac, as you know. I have a couple Macs. So if I have a game that is compatible with the Mac and Windows, I get both versions. I can just install it and off you go. I love the fact that it synchronizes my games across multiple devices. So I could, I've been playing a lot with GeForce Now, which we reviewed a little while ago. So if I finish up a game on my desktop computer and I want to just load it up on my NVIDIA Shield, everything is just right where I left off, provided it supports that stuff. So Steam's a great platform. But Epic Games has been getting very aggressive, right? They're giving away a lot of free games. I got Civilization 6 the other day, and so I've got now, I think, 3 or 4 different gaming platforms on my machine upstairs. So I've got Game Pass, Epic, Steam. I got them all. All right, Norton's out of there. We got to restart in a second, but I wanted to see where Windows Update was at. And Windows Update always hits you at the wrong time too, right? It's always something. Okay, so we've got to restart to install all this stuff. And then we're going to see the dreaded Windows is installing updates. So we've got some suggestions on antivirus. Zam, I think he's joking, says McAfee's the superior one. There was a time when you really needed antivirus software because Microsoft didn't have it built in. And I once got hit with a virus on my PC. It was called, the name of it was Stoned Empire Monkey B. I was a freshman in college, and I bought a second-hand 1.3 gigabyte hard drive. And you have to remember, this is 1995, like all this junk around me, like newer than that stuff, by the way. This was 95, so 1.3 gigabytes was huge, and I was so excited to get this drive. It was, you know, it was from a computer store or something, and I mean, let me tell you something. You put that 1.3 gigabyte, yes, gigabyte, not terabyte, in your computer in 1995. It was like you said. I said to myself, I am never going to fill this thing up. It's got so much space. And what do you know? By the way, the fingerprint reader works great. I had a master boot record virus on it, and Norton antivirus was what I used back then, and it cleared it off. And this virus was called Stoned Empire Monkey B. It would live in the master boot record, so it wasn't all that hard to remove, but it was very viral. It spread through floppy disks. So if you put a floppy disk in an infected computer, that floppy drive was infected, and then it would install itself on any other hard drive that it came in contact with. It was crazy. So you needed that running because it was going around my campus. I don't know if I was the one that started it or not, but if it would detect, Norton would detect that when that drive got read. So it would actually check the master boot record when the drive was inserted, the disk was inserted. And it saved my TOOCUS a few times after that. So I used that for a long time. But I think Microsoft's doing a pretty good job of keeping that up to date. All right, so let me grab, so our updates are installed. The fan's running, it's not that loud, but it's definitely going right now. We need to check for more updates here apparently, so let's get those in. And I'm probably going to grab the latest AMD drivers as well once we get Steam installed. And the reason is that I like to have those drivers running because typically, like if you right-click here, you don't see the AMD menu. So the drivers are there, but you're not getting the most recent version sometimes. So it's good just to get those going too. All right, so we'll finish that. And we have a cumulative update for Windows 10 version 1909. That is installing. And by the way, if you do benchmarking and stuff, this is the kind of thing that is going to slow you down. So you want to get all these updates out of the way before you get going there. Max Powers wants to know the best antivirus for Windows 7 PCs. I think even there, Microsoft Defender, the built-in one, is probably the way to go. Justin makes a good point, though, about malware bytes, because the Windows Defender does an okay job with the malware, but malware bytes is good to run every once in a while just to make sure you don't have something living on your system there. Travis wants to know, do I wipe these things out before I sell them? Yes, I usually do a full wipe, and so when they get them, they kind of start from scratch like they're new. Definitely do that. But I usually log in. This is the exception right now, just in case we want to do some Game Pass stuff later. I typically install a guest account on these too, so it's something that if somebody were to get into, it wouldn't really compromise anything. So here's some, I'm just reading through the YouTube comments if you're on Amazon. Recipe Bob says, I have games I've never played. I have hundreds of games I've never played. I'm a digital game pack rat, and I've been just queuing them up. Fast to Furious does something that I do as well. He's got a 100-foot HDMI cable. And these are great. I should put this on the product carousel on Amazon because I have one of those as well. It's a fiber optic. Let's see if I can find it here. I'm going to put it in the product listing. Fiber optic HDMI. And they're not like terribly expensive, all things considered. So I'm looking at one here. There's a 50-footer for $65. And I've got this cable running in my TV room. I'll just put it up on the product carousel right now if you're on Amazon. I have this cable in my TV room. It runs from my desktop computer, which is on the other side of the room. So this TV room is kind of like a bonus room. It's like one of these big open rooms above my garage. So I have like a sub-office up there with a little Thunderbolt dock, and my gaming PC's up there. And I have one of those cables that runs all the way around my couch to the front of the room, and I have it plugged into my home theater receiver. Excuse me, so I can play 4K games on my PC on the television. It's great. So if you want to do that, get one of those HDMI cables. So much better than streaming for sure. It adds like a very minuscule amount of input latency because you do have that HDMI signal having to get converted to fiber optic inside the cable and then reconverted back to analog well, it's not analog, but the HDMI copper cable. So that's something to think about. Fast and Furious wants to know what John McAfee is up to these days. I am not sure. He had quite a crazy thing going on there for a while. One Man Show is asking, did I ever get a second test for the COVID antibodies? And I did, and I was negative on that too. So apparently I never had it, even though I was pretty sure I did. So it could be that both of those tests were bad, but that's that. Anonymous says he thought HDMI can't go that far. It can if you're converting it to fiber optic. And these cables are great because one of the things that it does maintain, so it's a one-way cable in that you have to plug in one end on the output and one end on the input. So each end of the cable is specific to its role because there's a transmitter and a receiver built into the cable molding. If you go over to the Amazon link, you'll see that right now popping up, and you can click over and take a look at it. This is the 50-foot one that I got in there right now. And what it does, though, it works with like HDMI CEC, so all your remote control commands go back and forth. So there must be some copper wiring running along that cable that doesn't have the same length requirements that the video and audio signals do. But that cable's been working great. I get, Dolby Vision works, HDR works. Again, very minimal latency on the display, which really surprised me. And all the audio modes work. The lossless audio works. It's really, it's remarkably good. And it's so fun just to be able to sit down on my couch and project the gaming PC to my OLED and I have that 2080 Ti GPU now. We did that stream a few weeks ago. It's great. I mean, it's just so awesome. And I have a a wireless, a couple of wireless controllers. Actually, I have to go get one, I think, because I don't see any over there. Do I have I could have a PlayStation controller here. We could use that. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so we're just waiting for this update to download, and then we'll carry forward. The fan is still running, so let's take a look and see if I can zoom the camera in a little bit here too. I'll eventually hook this up to the video system here, but in the short term, I just want to test everything without any, just off the laptop display, just to have everything functional. All right, so let's get in there. But you can see how long it takes for us to review this stuff. And this is one of the key things that Jake helps me with here on the channel is getting these laptops set up and tested, because this process of just waiting for everything to go, I mean, this is it's a long process to get this going. What I used to do with them is that I would bring them to work and I would use it as my work computer during the day, so I could get it all set up while I was at work. But now what's great is that Jake comes by, he picks up whatever came in and takes it home and tests it all, gets the footage shot for the B-roll, and we go from there. All right. So Travis wants to know, how has COVID affected my school board work? Yeah, so I'm on my local Board of Education. It's actually been crazy because we are doing no school board work. The state essentially took all of the, I don't want to say they took our power away, but we really don't have a lot of decision making that we can do right now. Because the state has decided that all the schools should remain closed for the rest of the year. So we haven't had a meeting in a while. We do meet via Google Meet every once in a while, but we really aren't allowed to do much. So I'm really eager to, because you got to be really careful about this stuff. But I feel like we need to make an effort to get schools open in the fall. I think we can do it safely, and I think we need to really focus on that as a goal, because the kids need it. My kids are doing the e-learning, and it's fine because I work from home and my wife is home, but it's not the same as the classroom environment, and and I worry for the kids that don't have the luxury of having parents at home to, those kids are really going to fall behind. So we've got to get these kids back. So hopefully everybody behaves themselves over the summer, and we can do that. So Greg M wants to know, is it the 1909 build? I think that's what's going in now. We'll check when it comes up. It was interesting, and we'll test, here's the fingerprint reader, okay? So my finger is going down, and boom, it is working. So pretty quick. And let me see if the screen brightness is down a little bit. Yeah, it is a little down a little bit here. I just turned airplane mode on. No, I didn't mean to push that button. Okay, airplane mode off. All right. Yeah, so I mean, the display people are not crazy about. I'm okay with it. If it was on a super expensive laptop, I would be not so happy with it. But gosh, there's still more updates here. Hang on, let's see what else we got. Oh, we're up to date. We're good. Okay, so now let's see, what version of Windows are we on? Let's go and check out this PC thing and see what we're up to. So this is now on, it's got Windows 10 Home. Where does it tell you the build number? I haven't looked for my build number in a while. This is basic information about my computer. So 64-bit, I thought it told you the build in this screen, but maybe not. WinR, okay. WinVer from command. Okay, let's try that real quick. So let's go in and do WinVer. So this is build 1909 is what it's got on it right now. And that was after all the latest updates went in. So we're good there. What I'm going to do real quick is install Steam and get that going. And then we will install or get running my the first benchmark I want to run, which is, of course, I'm typing like sideways here, so it's a little hard. I've just got to type in my code from Steam. I've got that multi-factor thing going. So bear with me here. And Acer has already written to me to thank me for my purchase. All right, so we're logging in to Steam. And now I'm going to connect my drive up. Now, one of the things that I love about Steam and why I try to buy my games there as much as possible is that I can install games on external media and I can bring it around to different computers. And we do this quite a bit to save time, because you saw how long it took just to set the computer up in the first place. So one of the things that we do is we have what we call the game drive, which has a bunch of the games and other things that we constantly test already installed, so we don't have to download things. So I've got a couple of the larger games already on here, so that helps out a lot. All right. So what you do is if you go over to, let me zoom this camera out a little bit. To have like the laptop like completely sideways here. So what you do is you go up to library, or settings, I'm sorry, you go into settings, and you go to downloads, and you go to Steam folders here, and then you just add a library folder, and I have it on D in a folder called Steam. And then once you do that, you can see like some games just popped up immediately. So I got 3D Mark installed on here, so this will be the first thing that I want to run, because I'm just so eager to see how this benchmarks. And I'll agree to that. And we'll let it, it usually has to install like the runtime things, but generally it comes up pretty quick. Oh, you're right. Sorry, I totally forgot about the video driver. So let's go do that real quick. Yep, thank you for the reminder, everybody. See, this is why I like to have you all watching me do this. So before we do, oh, it's launching 3D Mark. So once we let it launch, then we'll go grab the video driver real quick, and then we'll continue onward here. No Jack Daniels. Nope, I'm not a drinker. So what we are enjoying today is my Pellegrino water. Although I got in this this new faucet that apparently has the carburetor thing built in, so I can make fizzy water on my tap. That's pretty cool. It's in a box right now. We have to put it in because my sink is messed up at the moment. Anonymous wants to know if I ever heard of East School Data. I have not. Nick F. wants to know, while the video driver updates, how do I get the space coverage feed into my vMix? So what I've been doing for the space coverage is, and by the way, I've been using vMix now for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months now. I can't remember. It's been outstanding. Like I was about to buy a new TriCaster, and I decided to give vMix a shot, and I ended up not having to buy the TriCaster. It's that good. And one of the things that vMix has, and OBS has this too, is the ability to bring in a web browser window as an input. So I bring in the web browser input, and I point it at a URL, in this case that SpaceX video feed, and that's what we were watching it on. So Fast Too Furious says, where does one get a sparkling water faucet? Well, I got one, it's on Amazon. And in full disclosure, I am in the Amazon Vine program. So what happened was my faucet was leaking last weekend. And I went on the Amazon Vine page, and sure enough, there was this faucet. This thing's like a monster. It's got a chiller unit, a filter. It's got a carburation thing built into it. And you just click on what you want, and it does it. And then you have the detachable hose for doing the dishes. I think it's expensive, though. But I thought it looked pretty cool. It might be a fun video to do. Maybe we'll do a live stream of me trying to install the faucet into my sink and see if water goes everywhere. That's the other great thing about vMix, is that it runs on my gaming laptop. So I had that Lenovo Y740. Runs great on that. In fact, we were running the whole channel on it. In case you're wondering, I hit the launch button on this, and it's still installing things. So let's see if I can close it. Yeah, okay, we're good. All right, so now we're going to go venture over to the AMD website to grab some drivers here. So let's go poke around here. And let's see, it can auto-detect, although I think it, yeah, I don't want to run some, well, this is from AMD, right? So let's just download that real quick and see. Here I am telling you to be careful, and I'm downloading software, but this is going to get the driver we need quickly rather than poke around on the... So we'll grab that driver. Oh, it's got a nice little thing going. Anonymous says this title should be Configuring Windows. It sometimes is that way, isn't it? All right, so we are awaiting the install. And Hikuru-san says, what about my haircut? Yeah, I haven't done the haircut thing yet. And part of the concern I have is that I think my hair now is too long for the Flowbee. Like it does like a ½ an inch at a time, apparently. And my MacBook just locked up here. So it might be, I don't know what's going to happen. So what has happened, though, here's the version here. We're going to do the optional version. Let's just do that. What did happen, though, is they've reopened barbershops. I don't know if my particular barbershop has reopened where I live, but I am hoping that they have. So I might try to get my hair cut over there. The question, though, is do I get the hair as short as I usually keep it, or should I do something different? That's been my my conundrum. I'm just going to disconnect this real quick and see if something's gone wrong with my Mac here. It's my little MacBook that I use to monitor the chat is like totally locked up. And this thing is 5 years old, so it may be nearing the end of its useful life here, but hopefully it'll come back. All right, so the drivers are installing on the laptop here. And we'll let these continue. It looks as though the stream is still active, so hopefully you're all still seeing me. And we'll get this going here. Yeah, it's installing quite a bit of stuff. The display drivers are going in now as well, so that should hopefully get us the best performance on this new chip. And this has, again, the Ryzen 4700U, which is an octa-core chip. And we're going to have to restart again. It's funny, you could probably build the computer and configure it faster than an initial Windows on a pre-built machine takes. Okay, system restart. Let's restart once more. And then we'll be ready to go. I will see the chat again here in a second once my computer comes back. All right, we're back here. And we're coming back up. And again, we're going to do the fingerprint. So here's my finger. I'm going to push it down. Oops. Got to orient the fingerprint reader properly. And there we go. We're back in. Okay. Let's make sure the display brightness is fully up here. And now we should have that. Yes, now we've got the Radeon software menu here. And I'm curious as to what they... Welcome to the Radeon software experience. Okay, so why not? So we'll set this up for a gaming profile. And what I'm curious about... Let's see, Radeon upgrade environment here. So what's this? So it's trying to, is it trying to sell us something here? Let's see. Current CPU, recommended CPU. Yes, they want you to buy the Ryzen 9 3950X 16-core processor. They want me to upgrade to that. Graphics, AMD. Yes, they're trying to get you into something faster. Okay, which is to be expected, you know. So let's go back into my Steam account here, and we'll get going there. And we'll, again, load up 3D Mark. All right, so let's launch it. Here we go. All right, Zam, thank you very much for the super chat. Zam wants to know if I'm going to make a video about Apple and Google's contract tracing API is built into the OS of phones now. I did talk about that. I don't think I did a wrap-up video on it, but I did talk about the contact tracing, and I was concerned about it. And actually, I installed it on my iPhone just because I was curious about how it works. Okay, so what I'm getting here on the Time Spy test is that it's giving me the VRAM thing. So I'm just curious, like, how much VRAM is showing up on this thing. And there's a spot somewhere that tells us what the VRAM is. Where's the number, though? Let's take a look. All right, so it's showing 512 megabytes of VRAM, although I have been told that if you need more, it will allocate memory accordingly. So you all can tell me if that's the case or not. But back to Zam, back to your question. I did install it because I was curious as to how it runs. And they did a thing on Security Now, the podcast, the other day, and they were talking about this. And it looks as though, like, in order for it to be effective, a lot of people have to install it. And based on how I'm seeing it work, I don't know if there's going to be enough people installing it to make it useful. And then if you're in New York City, and let's say enough people did have it installed, I think that thing's going to be going off constantly, right? Okay. So it looks like a lot of folks want me to keep the hair a little bit longer. So maybe I will do that. Boba says I should get a frohawk. See, what's funny about my hair, and by the way, thank you, Clean937 Samuel, for your super chat contribution. What I've noticed about my hair is that it grows out just like that, and it doesn't fall over. So this is like the end of the day, so all my hair stuff that I use to keep the hair down, it's like, you know, it goes away. But you can see I've got a lot of cushion there. So right now this demo is running at 6.3 frames per second, but this is like a super demanding benchmark. And the fact that it's running at all without a discrete GPU is pretty darn good. And if I'm not mistaken, the 2080 Ti will even struggle to get this to run at 60 frames per second. MaxDoc, you're going to check temperature when running the benchmark. Yeah, we'll take a look at the readout when we're done with the test here and see what we get. Actually, you know, what I will do, no, not after this test. We'll look at it on the screen, but we usually run there's another benchmark we run, which is the stress test, and I'll do a temperature check on that when we do it. We're not going to do that today, but we will run the temperature on that. Discovery, thank you for your 20 BAT from the Brave browser. I appreciate that. What's the value of BAT these days? So Sakura brings up the screen. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people who jumped in who said the screen is terrible. I don't see it as being terrible, to be honest with you. It doesn't, I mean, it's not that bright. And that was something that I brought up on the review of the Intel version. It's just not a bright display, but it's not offensive to me. It looks fine. And what's nice is it's a matte finish. So it's not, it's not bad. I mean, it's a 1080p display, you know, it's not going to be spectacular. And we looked at, actually, you know something, we looked at, Asus has a laptop called the TUF, which is powered by an AMD CPU, but it has an NVIDIA GPU. And you should look at my review of that one, because that one is about what this one costs. And I think it had a 1660 Ti, I think, or 1660 something. It was a pretty good machine for the price point. It's just bigger, you know? And that's what happens. It's like you pay for small and light and good battery life and performance. If you want all those things, you're going to be in the premium category, right? Now this test is what will kill it. Like this one is always one that's really like if you want a nice screen, you got to go up, you got to go high end. Although I brought up that TUF because it had a 120 hertz display on it. It looked really good, you know. But again, the brightness was, you know, the brightness is what you pay for. And we recently looked at the Dell XPS 13. That's a really attractive computer. I like that one a lot. I actually recommended it to a friend of mine who was looking for something nice. J. Tiago wants to know, is the game driver using an SSD? Yeah, so they don't make this anymore, which is really unfortunate. But I got one of these in a while ago, and then I bought another one. This is called the stock plop, and you just pop in a 2.5-inch SATA SSD, and it's like a little USB 3 enclosure. And it kills me that nobody's making this anymore. It's so useful, because I got these SSDs all over the place. We just pop them in and pop them out. That's how I boot Linux on it. So it's good. Okay, so we got a score of 1102. And what I'm going to do now is pull up my benchmark spreadsheet. Now, if you want to look at my benchmark spreadsheet, you can go to Lon.TV/benchmark, and you can see all of the machines that we have tested over the last 6 years on that page. It's really good stuff. All right, I'm just going to plug in the display here so that you can see as well. And I don't know if it's going to come back though. Let's see. Yeah, it's all right. So I may not be able to show you this, but actually, what I'll do is I'll disconnect this, and I will load the NDI thing up and see if that works for us. NDI vmix. All right, so let's load that up. All right, so let's pop in here and take a look at my other tests and see how this one did. Let me bring in the NDI here, and we'll do my display 1. This Mac does not want to cooperate with me today. I think it might be time to nuke and pave the Mac. All right, so yeah, Lon.TV/benchmarks will take you to my benchmark page here. And my gosh, it's almost 11 o'clock already. Where'd the time go? Have we been like just installing Windows on this thing for that long? Let's go and find my 3D Mark benchmark, and we'll compare it. I'll give you the number that I have on other ones like this. So this is the TimeSpy benchmark test. And I think we should be able to see, yeah, so it measured the temperature at 64 degrees Celsius on the CPU. Now the GPU is embedded in the same chip, but there's two different temperatures. So the GPU was 66.75, and the CPU was 66.75, and the GPU was at 64. And now I'm going to go to my TimeSpy benchmark results. See, a couple of you popped in there. And I'm just going to go and find my TimeSpy test here. Give me 1 second. I've got so much stuff in here. And I'll probably run one other one before we play a game or two, and then I gotta go to bed because I'm exhausted. Okay, so we are at 11:02 for the score, and I'm gonna put that in here. So just to give this some perspective, this is pretty much coming in with no GPU, where the MX150 did with the NVIDIA MX150. So I'm getting pretty much the same performance as an NVIDIA MX150 GPU with no discrete GPU in this at all. So that's pretty good. So this is an AMD Ryzen 4700U. And no GPU. All right, so 1102. Graphics test 1 was 6.39 frames per second. The MX150 in the Asus Vivo book from a number of years ago, actually not that long, last year, that one was 6.55, so pretty much exactly the same as the MX150 there. 5.55 frames per second on graphics test 2, again, right in line within the margin of error of what we saw on that one. And then the CPU test, the physics test, wow. Okay, so the physics test came in at 14.92 frames per second, and that is almost double, not quite, but almost double what we got out of an i7-8550U from just a year or two ago. That's pretty darn good. Now, how does it compare to the other Swift 3 that we looked at? Because I think, did we run this test on that one? I don't know if we did. We didn't. So we're going to run the other one that I ran. But yeah, this is doing pretty good. It's pretty close on against an MX150. It's actually close on my 960M that was on my Dell XPS 15. Actually, of interest here is that this is very close on the graphics side and the CPU side to that computer, which is presumably a much more, or should, well, I guess a couple years old, but still, like that was the flagship laptop in 2016, 2015. So 3 or 4 years later, flagship performance. Of course, flagships now are much faster, but that's pretty good. All right, so we're going to do one more benchmark because the one that we run all the time, which is no longer supported, by the way, so we have to like turn on something here. So let's modify, and it kills me that they are not supporting this anymore because this was one that we've run on everything, which is the CloudGate test. So we're going to run this real quick. So you know what happened? We were watching that rocket launch at the beginning. That's why it feels longer than it's been, because I've been only at this for an hour and 20 minutes. All right, so we'll let this one run here. I'll answer some questions while we go here. I'm sorry, Lon.TV/benchmarks. Right, sorry everybody. Anonymous has been up since 4 a.m. Wow, you must be exhausted. All right, so let this run. This thing looks to be running pretty nicely. Yeah, so I'm running this test to see if it does better than the Intel version, and I'm going to expect it will be doing better, because the Intel one had an i5 processor, which I think is quad-core. I don't think it was the 6-core. This one's 8 cores, so you already got more cores. Coda says, why don't they make a Windows 10 tablet with an AMD 4500U a little less expensive than the 4500U notebooks? That's a good question. Yeah, the Surface Pros are not cheap. By the way, this is running at about 106 frames per second right now. It's looking pretty good. I think this is plastic. Ed Chin is wondering. It feels plastic to me. But I often get the materials wrong, but this feels like plastic. The lid might be metal. I got to do a little bit more research on the materials. Perhaps somebody in the chat knows, but it feels like plastic to me. All right, so this is the CPU portion of that test. All right. So this is the CloudGate test. Wow. 14,902. And that puts this one like way up on the list. Now, this is a different test than what we ran before. So, you know, these tests look for different things and they test different parts of the GPU. But this is a unbelievably good score for a device that does not have a GPU. So let's put this in real quick. So this is the Acer Swift 3. And we have an AMD Ryzen R7-4700U. The performance is very good, 14,902. All right, so test 1, 98.76 frames per second. Test 2, 86.44 frames per second. And the CPU test, 23.19 frames per second. And like I said, that's like super good. Oh, I know why this wasn't working. Hang on a second, folks. I'll be able to show you the screen now, because I was on the wrong network. So one of the things that I set up was a new guest network that's isolated from the rest of my network, and the good news is it's working. It isolated me properly. So that's exactly what we want. All right, so I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet here so that you can see what I just typed in. And here we've got the other Acer Swift 3 too. So let's go, where did it go? Okay, so the Acer Swift 3 with the Ryzen, I'm going to put Ryzen up here. Look at that. It scored 14,902, right? So look where that leaves this. Now, not as good as a 1050, but close, right? And what's doing it for us on the score that puts it up to this 1050 is the fact that the CPU with those 8 cores is so powerful. So that's why we're seeing it there. But look at that. So the contemporary would be the new i7-1065G7. This is the 2-in-1 Dell XPS 13 that we looked at not too long ago. It does better on the graphics side, and the CPU is about the same. So we've got 8 cores in this one. I think that one's got 6. And this result came in from notebookcheck.net, incidentally. The XPS 13 we got in 2 weeks ago. Look at that. I mean, we're 20 frames per second faster, about the same there, and the CPU test is a little better on the Intel chip. But this is a much more expensive laptop, significantly more. So that's, yeah, I think that one costs twice as much as this one. So look at that. Now, the question was about versus the other Swift 3. So here's the other Swift 3 that we looked at. Look at that. So 55 frames per second on the 1035G1 versus 98 on this one with the AMD chip. 51 frames per second on graphics test 2 with the original. And what do you know? We got 86 on the AMD one and a 17. So, you know, all things being equal, if the cost of the Intel one is the same as the AMD is much faster for the same money. So the only difference, I think you don't get the Thunderbolt port if this, I don't know if the other one had a Thunderbolt port. You know, I review so many computers, they kind of melt together these days. But wow, this thing is, this is performing quite nicely. So I'm very, very impressed with this. But these are benchmarks, right? So, you know, we've got to look at some real world stuff now. So let's go, we're going to do like a couple games, and then we're going to go get some Z's here. So let me go grab a controller. And I left my favorite controller upstairs, so we're just going to plug in this PlayStation 4 controller, which should work fine. And we'll do, I think we'll do GTA 5 first and see how that does. And my expectation is that it should do, you know, as well as a, this thing turning on? Let's see. I may have to run upstairs and get my controller that I use. My expectation is that this should do pretty much as well as what we saw the MX150 do with the GPU inside. So this is like really good. I mean, this is really, really good. Because a laptop configured with that MX150 back in the day would have cost a lot more than this one's costing. So I think it's pretty good stuff. All right. I think this game controller is installed. I don't know. It didn't like do the do-do-do-do. So let's plug it back in here again and see what happens. All right, there it goes. Okay. All right, so we're going to go back to Steam. And I have GTA 5 already installed. So we'll do that one. And then we'll do Steam EXE is downloading from OneDrive. Why would it need to do that? All right, so let's go and do GTA 5. And let's see what happens. And I will record some B-roll here so that I can get some work done for my next... Oh, I need input mapper for Direct DualShock 4 to work? Oh, let me go grab... You know what I'm going to do real quick? Oh, here we go. I got an Xbox controller right here. Perfect. I was looking for this the other day, and it happens to be right here. So I've got an Xbox One controller. So we don't have to worry about that. And I'm just going to select the PC version of GTA 5 on my list here. Do I have that? No, that's okay. All right, so we'll plug the Xbox controller in. Thank you, everybody, for the helping out with the price questions. And by the way, if you want to watch me do this on Amazon, you can click on the link, and it'll take you right over to Amazon in the video description. And if you're on Amazon, say hi. I have a chat that I'm monitoring there, so you can say hi to me there or on YouTube. Okay. Well, good night, Anonymous. Thank you for tuning in with us. Much appreciated. And I've got to log into my Rockstar account here real quick. And it's installing more stuff. So we got to let it install whatever it's going to install. And super hot, I did get a Lenovo in also with one of these new Ryzen chips. So this one is a, the Lenovo has the 4500. This is the 4700. So this one has got the most powerful chip, and the Lenovo is a little less powerful, but it's a 2-in-1. And we'll just load the game up here real quick. Hello, Ed Horn. Welcome. Yeah, so we'll definitely, the Lenovo is, it actually got here today as well, so that one we'll look at too. I bought both of them. So I am buying laptops on your behalf in the hopes that somebody will buy it off of me after the review is over with. But I do okay with these, so that works. Cajoling Technologies, welcome, a fellow Connecticut YouTuber. Where in Connecticut are you? If we're ever allowed to see people again, we have to do some collabs. All right, so this is popping up, and we'll see where it goes. Mr. Foodmoon says that Lenovo always has solid keyboards. It sure does. It really does. Oh, I didn't answer. I don't know if I answered this earlier. Kuhn Watson is Kuhn. Hope I got that right. Is asking, does it have upgradable RAM? It does not. So you get the RAM that you get. So you cannot upgrade this one. Farmington, not too far from me. I know Farmington quite well. My wife's grandmother used to live in Farmington, so I used to go up there quite a bit. All right, let that load up there. And we'll go through the screens here. Ed Chen is on both YouTube and Amazon. He's doing them both. Thank you for helping with that view count. So Ranger, I don't know which one's better yet. I haven't taken the Lenovo out of the box just yet. I'll probably unbox that one tomorrow and have Jake start working on that. Because I'm gonna try to get this one done first. I expect that this one will do better because it has the 8-core processor. Although I think the graphics might be the same. All right, we're just going to do some settings here. What I'm going to do on the settings is I'm just going to turn everything down. So we're going to go full screen. Excuse me, full screen. We'll go 1080 though. Oops. Now some people tell me to run it in DirectX 10. Is that correct to do? I'm going to turn off all the anti-aliasing stuff here. And I think, yeah, I'll turn the population density down. And I like to start here just to see what the floor is, right? And then we can tweak it up if we need to. And we'll turn the texture quality down. One thing I hate about game settings, though, is that some of them have like a low, and then sometimes normal is the low for some settings, but not all of them. Aha, so Fast 2 Furious says it's going to be like 15 frames per second. I think we're going to be a little bit more than that, because what I have found with these AMD Ryzens, and we've seen this before, I'm turning off everything here, is that they can do 30 frames per second with everything low at 1080p or close to it. All right, so let's apply the changes, and we'll restart the game, another restart, and we'll give it access to the firewall because it's, for whatever reason, wants that. And we'll reboot. Oops, yeah, GTA is notorious for that. And I've run it on so many different computers, and I think Steam tries to sync the settings up that it's always screwed up whenever I boot it. But no, I expect we're going to get, again, with settings all the way down, I think we're going to get 1080p going here. And I've got to make one more settings adjustment because it's still running in windowed mode here. So this does it all the time on this thing. And I don't know, not just this one, it's all of them. So I just have to make one more setting adjustment. And we'll let this do its thing here. Go back into settings and coax it into that full screen mode. Yeah, like, what? 1914 by, there we go. Okay. So I've got a save game that syncs up. That's, again, one of the things I love about Steam. And I think it's syncing now through the Rockstar launcher, but so Cajoling says, would love to collaborate. Channel is not, yeah, you know, you just got to keep working at it. What I found is that you just got to just keep cranking out the content. And if you crank out enough content, especially for product reviews, people will be searching for things, and they'll eventually find their way to you. And that's how I built the channel, was just through search. And that's how I continue to grow, is through search. So if you don't, oh, you know what I forgot to install? Let's just do the Steam one for now. What is the Control Alt Tab? What is that? Yeah, no, not Alt Tab. What is that command to get the frames per second up in Steam? Is it Control Tab? Somebody will tell me. Shift Tab? Yeah, Shift Tab. Okay, so let's go over to Settings, and we'll put the in-game top right. Okay, there we go. All right, so remember, we're at 1080p. And it's running right now, lowest settings. We've turned everything down. We are at 48 frames per second right now, which is better. Let's turn the sound off here. It's actually better than those other ones, which again, we're coming in around 20 and 30 frames per second, so it's not bad. What I'd like to do, though, is I always like to look in the same spot, because this game is one where things fluctuate quite a bit. So what I usually do here, a little bit of lag there. What I usually do here is take out my rocket launcher, and I put myself in the hospital, because he wakes up in the morning and it's the same scene every time. So that's why I like to go with this one. And I'm actually going to start my Google Doc here so I can record some notes. So give me 1 second. Oh, it looks like it's raining in the game. Looks like it was here a little while ago. I wonder if the networking problems I was having were weather related. that funny that it's never usually raining when I come out of the hospital like this? So maybe the rain will stop. So I'm trying to get it to be sunny so it can be consistent. But right now it's about 40, about 45, yeah. So I mean, it's not 60, but that's not bad. So this is the Swift 3 Ryzen. And we're going to say here, again, I'm going to go back into the ER here. Because I want to get him walking out in daylight. It's funny when the games don't always cooperate, right? So super hot BM got into electric skateboarding. That sounds like something I would hurt myself doing. All right, here we go. It's still raining. You know, it's funny. I've been doing this test for ages, and it's never raining in the game when I walk out the door. So let's try it one more time. All right, let's do that again, and then we'll see how it goes. Nick Barone is asking if I got my new connection yet. Not yet. They say I'm getting it, though. So I am hoping. There we go. Now it's sunny. That's what I wanted. Okay. So let's walk out here. Is it sunny? Now there's puddles on the ground, but it's sunny. Have they made improvements to this game? Because I don't remember this ever happening before, and I've been playing this as a test for a long time. But it's looking good. We're at about 43 frames per second right now. And what I like to do usually is to grab a car and just kind of drive it around a little bit. But it looks great. Granted, you know, we're at lowest settings, so you're going to want to go, you know, kind of turn things up a bit. So I'll grab this car over here and we'll jump in there. Yes, 48, 49. And I will cap it in a minute. I am seeing a little bit of lag every once in a while, but I wonder, though, if that's a disk read and not, you know, remember, we're running this off a USB drive right now, so I think that might be the disk reading versus something else. Let me grab this car here. We'll take it for a spin. Sorry, buddy. I always feel guilty, like even though it's just a game, like, you know, this poor guy's just going to work. Yeah, so we're about 40. This is where I start to see if there's going to be problems, like slowdown or issues with the scene drawing in. It seems to be doing pretty nicely. Yeah, we're about 42, 40. I haven't seen it go below 40 yet. And the fan's not going that hard either. I mean, the fan's running, but it's very quiet. So that's good. You're 40 right now. 47, 42, yeah. It has not gone below 40 yet. Very playable. Yeah, this is really good. I mean, this was not something you would be able to do on a small laptop like this a couple years ago. Yeah, a little hit right there. Whoops. A little hit right there, but it's still staying in the 40s. All right, so let me stop recording that. I'm just going to label this clip for my B-roll later. And we'll make sure that we get that logged properly for the shoot tomorrow. I still have to do like battery and some other stuff, so I'm probably later in the afternoon tomorrow. So 301 Swift 3 GTA 5 B-roll. And somebody wanted me to cap the frame rate at 30. So I will do that real quick. So we'll say graphics, and we will set this to 30. Oops. I forgot where that setting is. I think it's down here somewhere. Oh, VSync. Is it VSync or output monitor refresh rate? You know, it's not giving me the option. Oh, it's windowed borderless. Jeez. All right. It keeps forcing that out there, and that's been a pain in the tuchus. and it's not letting me bring the frame rate down to 30. But let's set this real quick. I just want to make sure it's not going to change anything. Yeah, it's still running at the same. Yeah, so I can't set it down to 30, but it's not running below 40. Occasionally it dips a little bit, but it's not going under 30 by anywhere. I've not seen it do that at all. VSync to half. Okay, so let me do that real quick. So let's go back in and set VSync to half. I'll tell you what, for a game as old as this one is in the scheme of things, I mean, it's still a great game. It looks great. So we'll set VSync to half. Okay. So VSync is half now. And the question was, would it stay fixed at 30? And I'm seeing 28, 29, but now that it's going here, 25, 24. So somebody explained to me why it would dip below 30 if we lock the VSync in. 26, so it's mostly staying there, but I'm seeing it like drop to 25 every once in a while here. But if I turn off the VSync, it's just running well above 40. So there you go. All right, so next thing we'll do is DirectX 10, because that was the other question that I was asking earlier. So let's go to DirectX 10 mode, because I've heard that that will make it run faster. So 10 or 10.1? I'm guessing 10. So we'll apply that. We got to restart the game again. All right, so we'll do that. So give it a second here to reboot. And bear with me for 1 second. And with that reboot here. My wife is texting me from upstairs. I'm hoping the children have not woken up. My children do not sleep. Oh, okay, she's just telling me to run the dishwasher when I'm done. Oh, 10.1 is what you're supposed to run for AMD. Okay, so we'll put it into 10.1. See, how do people know all these things? I guess you all are pros at this. There's so many settings. Okay, so we need to set this at DirectX 10.1. And see how it keeps dropping it into windowed mode here? And I'm going to turn the VSync half thing off because I just want to see what we max out at. So I'm going to apply these settings and restart the game again. JSG says he knows this because he doesn't have kids. I think I would know a lot more too if I didn't have kids. It's funny how like half your day is gone, you know. Mario Lopez wants to know, is there a limit for chatting on Amazon Live? I don't believe so. I get far fewer chats, though, on Amazon Live than I do on YouTube. Although I think what happens is that the people that watch me on YouTube know who I am, so they want to be part of the discussion, and the Amazon folks largely don't know who I am, so they're just seeing some guy in a midlife crisis room playing video games in the middle of the night. That's probably what they see there. Okay, so we're going to reboot the game here real quick, and then we'll move on to the next thing. I got to go, look at that, every time. And it doesn't matter what computer it's on, they always go windowed on me, and I have to go and reset them. So Recipe Bob just built his Ryzen 5-based gaming PC. He's very happy with his. Excellent. Ben says, kids grow up so fast. His girl is now 11 and acts like a teenager. I know, mine is 7. So my oldest is 7, my youngest is 4. And they're getting so tall. And the 7-year-old is just like, you can just see her growing up right in front of my eyes. It's crazy. But my 7-year-old she is into music. So she's into music like I was into video games at her age. Like I was playing Atari all day long, right? This kid is on the piano all day long. I mean, I can't, you know, like you hope your kid might take an interest in something. And, you know, I know a lot of parents have to force their kids to play the piano or do music. This kid lives for the piano. I mean, just lives for it. And then she has she's doing the violin and the recorder. She's taken, so we know we're obviously locked down as you all are. And we are doing, remote music lessons with her music teacher. So we just decided, let's just do 3 days a week. And she's doing 3 music lessons a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She can't get enough. And she's taken music that she's doing on the piano, and she then can just take it to the violin and start playing it there. I mean, it's just, I'm completely amazed by, I think I hit the wrong thing. What did I do? I think I hit the wrong button. I think I did online mode here. It's just amazing. Like, she's 7 years old, and she's just so into the music. It's just awesome. And, she's not like a phenom. I mean, she's not Beethoven. Maybe she is. I don't know. But she is just, like, into it, loves it, feels a sense of accomplishment from it. So I'm just all in on this thing. It's just been wonderful. Okay, I got to get out of this. I'm in the online mode. I didn't want to be in the online mode. Game. Exit game. Oh, geez. All right, let me. It's getting late. I'm like losing my, and I'm talking. I'm just blabbering away here. And if you're want to see the laptop on Amazon, I have a link in the video description. It's an affiliate link, but it'll take you to this very chat, this very stream. We simulcast to YouTube and Amazon, so you can watch me on Amazon if you want. It is a great place. And Amazon's doing some really cool stuff with live streaming now. So if you go to Amazon.com and just click on the live streaming, there is always stuff going on there. And it's been great. In fact, like that being on the Amazon live stream page has really incentivized me to do more live streams to YouTube also. So this is why I stream so much, because I'm always doing stuff for Amazon. I try to do like 2 or 3 of these a week. And it's good stuff. They've got a really good operation there. They're producing, they're broadcasting all day long. So here, I'll show you what they've got right now. So this is what's on the page right now. So we got some Lady Gaga something or other going on here, so it said. And then I think she's like doing makeup. Yeah, Lady Gaga cut crease. So, you've got like people doing makeup. She's doing some gaming. Someone's doing a ring light. Another tech guy is doing some stuff, Fortnite video game. And here's my stream here. So all sorts of stuff going on right now. And I think, I'm not sure, let me check and see, because I think if you go to the Swift 3 Ryzen page, I'm pretty sure that this live stream is showing up, and you can click the star, click the star thingy, so it tells me that you like me, and I think it tells Amazon that you like me. And things change every once in a while, but I know that so because we are live streaming right now on the product listing, so anyone that's browsing Amazon at this moment will be taken to the live stream, and they can actually watch this stream on the product page, which is neat. So so there you go. It's kind of like meta here. Isn't that cool? So they're really doing some cool stuff with live streaming, and it's a great platform. And I'm having fun with it. And I think they're opening this up to all of the, if you're an Amazon influencer, so if you have one of those influencer pages, I think you can reach out to them and ask them to do live streaming of your own. All right, so let's go back to story mode here. And this is the DirectX 10 mode now, same settings. So we'll see if we get any bump in speed. And I think it does a little bit more, a little better. J5, 40. I'll let this load up. Again, it's loading off a USB drive, so that might slow it down a little bit. All right, let's go out the door here. And we'll repeat our process before. We'll get visit the hospital here. I need to finish this game. I've never actually finished the single player mission. I need to do that. Because this runs on my monster upstairs now. I'm running this at 4K, like full settings. It's crazy. Yes, there's a big lag hit there. Look at that. It's like totally frozen. Whoa, it just crashed. Maybe it doesn't like the DirectX 10 mode. All right, we'll try one more time here, and then we will move on to the next game. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So a lot of folks are really trashing this display. I mean, I don't think it looks that bad. I'm not like, so here's my thing is that I try to look at these laptops from the perspective of a consumer. And in doing so, I'm looking at this display to determine how would the average consumer perceive this display. And if you're buying this computer, there's a good chance that you haven't bought a computer in a good long time. Like you're probably working on some older PC. You're 3 or 4 years into ownership. The one that you bought 3 or 4 years ago is not terribly fast. So you move up to something like this, and the display is going to look a lot better than whatever you've got already. You're obviously going to see a ton more performance. So when I look at this display stacked up against a $2,200 laptop, stacked up against the XPS 13, it looks not so good, as far as the brightness is concerned. But the clarity is there. I like the matte finish. I wish it was brighter, definitely. But it's 60 hertz. It's not a touch screen, but it's fine. It's not spectacular, but it's fine. And this is what happens is that you can't get, unless, and I could be mistaken, so you all can tell me if there's a laptop out there that is super good. But I don't think you can get a laptop that is the full package. There's going to be something for this price point. There will be something that won't be so good about one of these lower cost laptops. They have to choose something that isn't going to work. And in this case, it could be the display, but I mean, I've seen worse displays than this. It's not like a TN display or anything like that. Yeah, so the frame rate is pretty much, it's a little better, but not significantly so in DirectX 10 versus 11. But, for integrated graphics, to get, lowest settings, 1080p, good stuff. Really good stuff. I'm happy. Yeah, this is the same as it was before. All right. So we're going to move on now. We're going to do a couple more things. We're going to do Rocket League real quick. Rocket League's always a good one to do because that's the kind of game that just runs great on this kind of machine. And then I've got 2016. I don't have the new Doom. I should probably get the new Doom, I know, but I'm too cheap to buy it again. But I wanted to run the original 2016 Doom because we've been running that on a bunch of other stuff. So I want to see how that does. But we'll do Rocket League real quick here. I'll wait for GTA. Wi-Fi is a good question. I don't know it's got Wi-Fi 6. It is likely not Intel Wi-Fi, but you never know. Cajoling, thank you for the super chat, and keep safe and healthy up there in Farmington. Not far from where I am. No, you can't upgrade the display. These things are, you buy them and you get what you get with these things. I don't think they offer a better display. Acer does a lot of different SKUs depending on where you buy it. So you might be able to find one with a different configuration. But I just don't see, I'm not appalled by this display. It looks good. And if you want Ethernet, you can plug in a USB-C adapter. You can get one of those little docks. I love docks. So those work well. Recipe Bob says, I bought the new 2080. I could spring for the new Doom. Part of the reason why I haven't bought it yet is that I haven't finished the first one because I've just not I can't get a moment's peace in this house right now. So I just haven't finished it. So I've been like, I'm just not going to buy that game until I finish the other one. And by the time I finish the other one, the new one will be half price, right? So we'll allow access to this. I mean, if you want, so I'll tell you what, if you want a decent display, the Asus TUF that I looked at recently, $649, same price as this one, NVIDIA GPU, AMD processor, great machine, but it's heavier, and the fans are super loud, and the battery life isn't good, you know what I mean? So it's like you can get the display and the performance that you want, but it's going to come at the expense of something else if you're in the sub $1,000 territory. That's just the nature of the beast. What I'm going to do first here is I'm just going to crank everything up because I am curious to see if it can do well. So we're going to say high quality. We're going to go to high quality on the texture detail. Everything's on, so super high quality. So let's go over to play. And we'll do play local exhibition. So I bought, for my gaming laptop, and the reason why I bought a gaming laptop was because it's good for portable production as well. So what's nice about gaming laptops and gaming computers, for that matter, is that they work exceptionally well as video production machines. So for example, we're running my channel through vMix, which is running on a gaming desktop that I built, and it runs just as nicely on my gaming laptop as well. So it's just great. Okay, so we are at the highest settings on Rocket League, 1080p, and we're getting about 45 frames per second. And I'm not seeing too much of a slowdown here when I'm around the other cars or the ball. And that's because we've got the 8-core processor on this sucker. So like that, having those cores, this game is not super intensive, but I'm not seeing the kind of performance degradation. So I'm going to call this one, highest settings, about 40 frames per second, 1080p. It'll go a little bit lower, but 40 is pretty much where it's going to land, and it looks great. It really does. I mean, why wouldn't it? It's 1080p, full settings, integrated graphics. Very, very nice. Yeah, so about 40 frames per second there. Let me just mark that down real quick. So Rocket League, full settings, 1080p, 40 FPS. This is coming like right in where those MX150s used to come in on those. So you're getting the performance of a low-end GPU out of this thing. And I'm telling you, like the fan, I got to make a note of this. The fan noise is really good. Like it's on, but it's not. Again, it's not offensive. So yeah, I would say if I'm Intel, I'm concerned here about what they're able to deliver for the price point, because we're not. We're seeing better graphics performance. We're seeing, just a good experience here for less than what the Intel stuff costs. Granted, though, the Intel chips, the 10th generation chips with the G7 graphics, are not far behind here. So it's not, it's not a big it's not a huge difference, but it's enough of a difference, right? And we'll talk about that more in the review. But I am pleased. I'm just plugging in my little gaming keyboard and mouse here just to get a little better experience for the Doom thing. And for Doom, what we're going to do is we're going to run this at the lowest settings, just because I expect that game to be a little more demanding. And I just got to find my gaming mouse wherever it went. This place is, so you see this. I'm not showing you the rest of this disaster that I am working in right now. And this is the problem when you have children. It's just like you finish work for the day and you run upstairs and hang out with the kids. And I'm not complaining about this. I love having the family time. But you know, you don't have time to like clean up at the end of the day because I am going like right up until dinner time. And oops, I'm still recording. So you know, it's super busy, and so I just never get to the cleanup time. And then like there's never a day where I can just get the place cleaned up because I'm always trying to be a couple days ahead on videos. Especially because like I was hoping to have this video up tonight, but this thing didn't even get here until today, right? So the plan was to have the, you know, when I was looking at the arrival date, I said, oh, I can have that up by Wednesday for sure. And guess what, right? It didn't show up until 5:30 today. So we're streaming the test now, and then that's how this stuff goes. I'm just logging this clip here. So Rocket League. And we'll move on now to the next one. Andre wants to know if I'm going to open it up. No, I'm not going to open it up tonight just because I already know what's in it. I think Tom's Hardware did a review of this, and they did open it up. And there's nothing to upgrade. I mean, you can upgrade the M2 NVMe drive, but that's it. So there's not a lot of upgradability here. It would have been nice if they had the ability to upgrade the RAM on it, but no go. So this one's got 8 gigs, and that's all it's ever going to have. And you know what? While this is going, I'm just going to throw No Man's Sky on here for the heck of it. This game is the one I play the most, and there's no beginning, middle, or end to this game. It's just it. It's all it is. It's just No Man's Sky, and you just fly around forever. And you know what's cool about No Man's Sky? First of all, I think what they've done to do right by what I think a lot of people thought was lacking in the initial release, that's been cool, how much they really worked for that. But what I also like about it is that this is the kind of game that I always wanted as a kid. Like we had Elite on the old Apple. We had all these cool space games that they actually had some surprising amount of depth to them. But you had to imagine what you were looking at and doing. And what I love about No Man's Sky is that you don't have to imagine it because it's just, you know, these procedurally generated planets. And they keep updating all the time. So it's been like it's been an amazing thing to watch the work that they've done to make this game better and better. So kudos to them on that front. So while that's going, let's put Doom up here. It should cancel we shouldn't see a performance hit with this. There is no second NVMe port. You just got the one. So Patrick Chang said that due to these current circumstances, one got returned because it was undeliverable and the other one got delayed. So Patrick, are you in an area where there's a lot of unrest going on right now? I hope you're safe there. We're doing fine here. We're having some very peaceful vigils around the area, but nothing, thankfully, knock on wood, bad happening around here. We actually had a very remarkable thing happen on one of our highway overpasses. There was a group that basically walked out onto the Interstate 84 overpass and did a sit-in in the highway. And the state police got on scene, and rather than create a whole big to-do, the police came up to the protesters on the overpass, which normally would be an arrestable offense, obviously. And the officers instead opened a dialogue, and it was one of those moments that I think will dramatically improve relations because it happened. And I was really quite proud of the protesters and the police because it ended in a very positive way. And both the police and the protesters walked off that bridge together, or that overpass together. And I think there's going to be a lot of good, positive work that's going to happen as a result of that interaction. So that was a great thing to see. We live in a good state here in Connecticut. No state's perfect, but we're good stuff. All right. Yes, Julian said it was in Hartford. That's right. It was in the Hartford 84 overpass. I think there was another one in New Haven as well. But it was good. So not everything's bad. We're all going to get through this, I think. But it's always good to be considerate, respectful, and people want to be heard. My rule of thumb on the Board of Education is that if you got people showing up to your meeting and they make reasonable arguments as to why you're not doing something properly, the correct response is not to be defensive. Sometimes you feel that way. Sometimes they might not be correct in their assumptions, and you can have a conversation about that. But if people are showing up at your meeting or in your backyard and you're not addressing the issues that they're raising, then you're doing something wrong as an elected official. That's the thing. You got to be. I'm just looking for the arcade mode. Here we go. You know what I got to do before I get into this? I just got to check the settings. It's not hard, you know. It's not hard to listen to people. It's not hard to fix problems sometimes. Sometimes the problems that seem really bad are actually pretty simple. I look at it this way, like when I'm on my board meetings, we have a problem that we're dealing with. The first question I ask is this a people problem or a problem of physics? Because you can't change physics, right? Like if an asteroid is going to crash into the building, we're not going to stop that from happening. But if people are the problem, you can fix the problem. It's not always easy or quick, but you can fix the problem if people are the problem. But if they're not the problem, I think I'm going to go to Vulkan here, right? Because that's what everybody wants to do. So low, 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 low. Decal filtering, leave it trilinear. Okay, so it's already on low settings, so it looks like it was automatically set there, but it wasn't on Vulkan. So we will set it to Vulkan. It'll probably reboot. Yeah, oops, yes. And we'll reboot here. All right. Yeah, so I got to do a few more things with this. I'll probably do that tomorrow. What time is it? It is 11:30. So we'll go like another 15 minutes or so, and then we'll call it quits for tonight. And yeah, I think this could probably do the PS3. We could probably put the Dolphin emulator on it real quick and see how it does. All right, so back to arcade mode. You know, it's funny. I think people had very low expectations for this game, and it turned out to be amazing, right? I mean, it just is. It is new. It is unique, but it pays homage. Like it's got the same feel as the original. Like when I was playing, I was like, wow, this is like really, really good. All right, folks. So low settings, 1080p, about 30 to, yeah, we're running around 40 to 50. This is great. I mean, seriously, look at this. This is totally playable. I think you can probably see those numbers up there. Yeah, it's about 45 here. I'm going to probably call this at like 40 to 45, but this is totally playable. This is totally playable on a, you know, integrated graphics. Look how good this looks. And this game runs fast anyhow. Yeah, it's not 60, but 40 to 45 is what I'm going to call this one at. Doesn't that look great? And again, the fan is not, I mean, it's on, but it's very subtle. So, I mean, here's my thing. So the recommendations that I've got here, just again, we still have some more work to do on the evaluation here, especially battery life, which we're not going to be able to do tonight, obviously. But what I'm going to say on, you know, for recommending on a purchase is that normally, if you wanted a laptop at this price point, and size, you were not getting any kind of graphics performance at all. If you wanted that performance, then you're buying one of those lower cost gaming laptops that weigh a ton. This one's like under 3 pounds. There's other gaming laptops that weigh a ton, and you're buying, you're dealing with the weight. The battery life is non-existent. The fans make a ton of noise. They're super clunky. This is a nice compact laptop that looks a lot like the other laptops that have been out in its price range before, but performs like a laptop with a GPU on there that you would have paid. So the closest approximation to its performance might be an MX150 GPU. And we had looked at, about a year or two ago, one of those, hang on, I'm just logging the clip here. One of those Xiaomi laptops that was about this size. Really nice. It had the MX150 built in. Performed great, but this one, doing pretty good. Let me just refresh this here. All right, so this is 303. And it's better than the prior generation chip, for sure. No question about that. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to the menu. DC Ember says, if I get this, would it play? Let's take a look. So let's take a look and maybe go to 720p real quick and see how that does. We'll try that. So Randy says he likes his noisy, heavy, no battery life gaming. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to, is that if you, we often say, like, if you get battery life, performance, or thin and light, pick two, right, for a low price. If you want all of that, you got to pay. That's why those Macs cost so much, because they have all of that. All right, so we're going to go down to 720p. So let's do that. And it's switching resolutions there. All right, so yeah, so we're at 60. Doesn't look as good, but you can see what we're doing here. I'll just record this real quick for the heck of it. Yes, you're comfortably over 60 here. I mean, I'm seeing a couple of dips down to like 68, but it's fine. So yeah, this is great. I mean, I'm super impressed. Now imagine if you could get this in a $300 laptop, right? I mean, we might see these at that price point, because the prior generation Ryzens are all in that price point. There's an Acer Swift 5 that I see a lot of activity on for my affiliate links. Like that one's super popular, 350. You have to upgrade the RAM, though. This one's got 8 gigs right out of the gate. But, yeah, well over 60 here. So that's great. So, yeah, there you go. Well, thank you for that suggestion. That'll give me another piece of B-roll to use for the video. So let's do that. We're going to say 304. 720p. And we'll say... Yeah, so it looks like on every game we've played so far here, you're getting 40 to 45 frames per second. This is like a 40 FPS laptop at low settings, right? But that's good. I mean, for what this is, you want more, you pay more. So I bought a Y740 Lenovo, which is like super powerful, but on a good day it's $2,200. I got it for less than that because of all the Black Friday stuff, but it's a good deal. Okay, so that was Doom. Let's try No Man's Sky. Why not? We're here. So let's unplug my mouse, and we'll plug back in our Xbox controller. Where did I move that controller over there? Oh, it's on my feet. Here it is. what's down there? Where'd that Xbox controller go? All right, let me go grab that. I actually put the Xbox controller away. Can you believe that? Nothing else has been put away, but I put that away. All right, so we're going to do No Man's Sky, and we'll run the Dolphin emulator real quick, and then we will call it a night. Because it is 11:38. Normally I would say I have to get up early tomorrow, but I got no place to be. But down here, doing videos. So we'll download the Dolphin emulator, and we'll get that going. But can it run Crysis? I believe it can. And we'll just download the most recent build here. And I probably have to get 7-zip also to unzip that file, so we'll grab that real quick. Get that going. Oops, I don't want 32-bit, I want 64. Back in the old days on DOS, I would use PK zip and unzip. But 7-zip is what I use now. All right, install that real quick. And I think I have to run, no, I can do it right here. So let's extract here. And we'll get that going. All right, so that's ready to go, and we'll come back to that. And in the interim, we will go over to Steam because No Man's Sky is now installed. And here's what I love about Steam is that it's going to go out and download my most recent save file, and I'll be able to go right to the spot in the game where I'm at. And I don't know if the settings sync up on this, so we'll see how that goes. So we'll play game, and see here's all my save games. Isn't that cool? I just love that about Steam, and this game in particular, because I'm always, so if I'm traveling, and generally if I'm traveling, and I haven't traveled since March, but if I'm traveling, I am taking my Mac with me because I'm usually editing video and stuff on the road. And so what I do on the Mac is I boot it into Windows with boot. I have an external drive that I can boot Windows off of on my Mac, and I've got No Man's Sky on there, so I can play it on the Mac. You know what I mean? I can play it on GeForce Now. I can play it on my big TV upstairs off the gaming machine, on the gaming laptop. I can play it anywhere. Just syncs the games up. Earthly Descent has the Lenovo Flex with the Ryzen 5, and we actually got the new Flex in with the Ryzen 5 4500U, so we'll see how it does. I think I looked at, I know I looked at a bunch of 3500U machines, so we will certainly give you a good comparative on that one, because that one came in today as well, so Jake's going to work on that one shortly. Here we go. Yeah, so this one's struggling a bit, but I'm positive that I've got to do some setting adjustment here. But actually, no, it's not too bad. 25 frames per second. This is definitely 1080p. And it's drawing in here a little bit. So let's go and check out my settings. I'm sure the video options are all cranked up. Let me go back to the graphics options. They separate things out. Okay, so this one's not doing as well. So it's set to standard. And I'm going to turn the base complexity. I'm at my base, so that might contribute to it also. So we'll see if that has any bearing here. So let's jump back to, let me check and make sure VSync isn't on. That could be why it's, let's see, VSync, there we go. Turn that off. That's why. Okay. Oh, okay, we're okay. There we go. All right, yeah, it's about, okay, not bad. I mean, it's like, it's funny when it's running at 30 frames per second. Let's just double check one more setting on that video option there. So I'm going to turn the max FPS. It's not even going to get close to this, but we'll crank it up to like, I'll leave it at 60. It's not going to get to 60. But VSync is definitely off. It's funny, it's like one of these things where VSync is off, but it's like at 30 frames per second. So, but still 30 frames per second is not bad. This is about, like, I get about this on my expensive Mac with a GPU. So gives you some idea there. But that's what I love about this game is that you can just get in these spaceships and just fly away, right? It's just so fun. And then we can go and just go into space, leave the planet completely. And kind of look back. This is awesome. They have a VR mode, so you can play this in virtual reality, which is nuts. You're not playing it in VR on this one, but it's great. Yeah, so it's about about 30. But what I'm going to do real quick is just go to a different part of the planet here that doesn't have base components there, just to see if that has any impact. And we'll start doing our B-roll real quick. Yeah, there you go. That's my thumbnail. This $600 laptop is better than your Mac. Yeah, not bad. I just love this game. You know what I like about it is that the goals are all your own. You know, like, so there's a subreddit with all these folks that are obviously really into the game, and I was curious to see, they had a planet that they were all on, and I wanted to get to their planet, but I had to learn how to use all the Stargate glyphs, and I had to learn that and get that. So that was a long-term goal. I had like it's just neat. Now I'm working on like building my base up. I have the mech guy now, so I have a planet that's like super hostile to life. So I have a mech that I use to get around on it, but it's where I make all my money. So I have like this mining operation on the planet, and yeah, this is good. It's good. All right, so No Man's Sky. Let's finish recording, and I'm going to just add my log to the clip. So Randy says that $600 is steep. It is steep. So this, again, this is the, and I'm going to probably try to really emphasize this in the review, because you can get the performance with a GPU for this price, but you're dealing with something heavier and bulkier. So if you're a student going to college and you want something that's smaller but can play a game every once in a while, like this is something to consider. And if you don't mind the heavier, loud, clunky laptop, then you can do that too. It's only when you spend big bucks that you can get all of that in one package. Good night, Patrick. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up here in just a minute. I'm going to do Dolphin here real quick, and then we're going to call it a night, because I still have more to do with this, but I thought it'd be fun just to stream at a different time. What I usually do is I'm streaming typically like around midday, sometimes in the morning. And I know a lot of you are all over the world, so it's nice if I do the afternoons, I pick up a lot of Europe. And then in the later night times, like this time, I get more here in the United States. So I try to do things at different times just so I can reach the audience in different ways. So that's fun. Give me a second here. I'm just grabbing the GameCube game I want to try out real quick. I got two that I want to try. So we'll grab, we'll do Wave Race first and see how it does with that. And then we'll also do the Star Wars game. Beat to Bubba wants to know my thoughts on the Atari VCS. I don't know how it's going to go. I think it's not going to sell well as a standalone system. I think there's too many consoles, and they don't have the marketing muscle to compete with Microsoft. Like there's always, in the retro community, there's always these folks, we're going to make the next greatest console, and it's just not, it never happens. And the one group that has been successful is Analog, who's making those awesome FPGA consoles. And they're successful because they don't expect to sell a lot of them, right? They know who they're serving, which is the enthusiast retro gaming community, and they've built their business model around that niche. You're not going to compete against the consoles. Like you can't. You know, Microsoft and Sony have just too much earned brand value that you just can't compete with that. I mean, if it's a cool little mini PC that's affordable with an AMD processor, that has some potential, no question. But I'm not sure about the other stuff. I have not heard, by the way, from National Geographic over their takedowns. I don't expect to. But I will let you know if anything changes there. All right, I'm just mapping all the controls here on my controller. Control stick, up, down. I should start saving these settings so I don't have to keep doing this every time. Oh, I'm going to do the analog here. Left analog. There we go. All right, so that's in there. Okay, start. That's an important button. Okay. And I'll call this. Okay. All right. And I like to just leave this like defaulted just because I just like to see out of the box how's it going to do, right? All right, so we're good there. We're going to close this and close that, and then we're going to go to Open, and we'll do Wave Race. Oh yeah, easily full speed. Let's give it a second here. So for those of you who don't know what happened, we covered that SpaceX launch the other day. And when we did that, the National Geographic folks also covered that event. And when they converted their live stream that they did to a regular video, they ended up claiming, it's locking up here, they ended up claiming the content that was coming from NASA. This happens a lot. Happens a lot. And it wasn't happening as much recently as it had in the past, but it happened. And as a result, they basically took down a lot of people who had covered that event. And so my recap of the live stream was caught up in that. So it was down for 12 hours. And you say, oh, what's the big deal? It's 12 hours. But like that's prime time, right? Because Sunday morning when people wanted to come in and watch my coverage, because it would show up on their thing, they wouldn't see it. So that was really bad. I'm just going to do a exhibition here. Huh, keeps locking up. We're going to have to experiment a little bit more here with this. I've not seen this happen before. So let's grab the Star Wars game real quick and see what happens there. And then I got to call it a night. So, well, here's the problem, Randy. I did dispute it, but the damage was done. So it's a news item. It's not something that, at 12 hours after is going to be as as critical to the news cycle. So people who would have watched it were not going to watch it. And by the time it came back, they were docking, and that was the new part of the news cycle. So it put us at a competitive disadvantage. And it's not a lot of money, and it's not the money; it's the principle of the whole thing. So they admitted that they screwed up, but they didn't, agree to compensate anybody. So it's not just me. There's a lot of other creators that do this for a living, cover space for a living. I cover tech for a living. That really got hurt here, and they just don't seem to care. So I'm raising an issue. And I'm part of Content ID, so I am really careful about, because I look at that as a real responsibility to be respectful of the community. So if I'm running around claiming stuff automatically, that's not good for people that are like me. So I'm really careful about my use of it. And I have a big problem because people re-upload my content all the time and they put affiliate links on it. So it's a big issue for me, and I use it a lot. I take down probably 20 or 30 videos a week, but they're just legit theft of my work. They re-upload content, and they put affiliate links on it, so they're stealing from me. So and actually, here's the other thing, Randy, with the dispute process. So the dispute process on Content ID is 30 days. So they can just ignore the dispute, and then if it goes to 30 days, it just automatically goes back to you. But at that point, that item is totally dead from a news standpoint, right? So maybe it's okay if it's a product review or something that might have some potential there. And I don't think they did it on purpose. They certainly benefited from what they did. I really don't believe that they did this maliciously. It was an accident on their part. It was carelessness. I think there's a procedure in which you can claim the parts of the video that are yours and then not claim the parts that are not. And they didn't take the time to do that. So that's why this happened. And I take the time to do it. And I don't automatically claim videos, right? So I'm really careful about it. And that's my point, is like, look, I do that out of respect to the community. It takes more time. I could just have it, flagging everything, but I respect the community. So that's the difference. So I've had enough, and I'm just gonna take it to where it goes. We'll see. I'm not asking for a lot of money, because it wasn't that much money. But the more they ignore the request, the more money it's going to cost. So we'll see where it goes. All right. Yeah, it's a bot, but the bot follows orders from the human, and the human did not take the time to break that content out. By the way, this is, in my opinion, and you can, there's different genres of Star Wars games, but for me, this one is probably my favorite Star Wars game of all time. I love the X-Wing stuff, right? So, and this was just so well done. And what we need is a VR version of this. That's what we need. So right now it is running at full speed, and I haven't done anything really to set this up. So this is just, it's just running natively here. And this game will kind of slow down a little bit when you first boot it up. And then it will, once all the shaders get loaded in, it speeds up. But this is running super nice. This is, it's running at 60 frames per second right now. Now, granted, we're not doing any HD here. We're running it at the native resolution. So that the display is just kind of scaling it up to, but it's running really nicely. And I forgot what the button, this is the button to go into the cockpit. So see how it takes a second? And that's normal. So it'll actually do this faster. See how it's kind of speeding up now? This game apparently is one of the hardest to emulate, because they did a lot of custom off the books kind of development on this. And this was a launch title, so I bought, so the GameCube came out, I think, like the same week as the Xbox, the original Xbox. And I went with the GameCube almost primarily because of this game. I saw this, I was like, I'm going to love this game. I knew I was going to love it, and sure enough, I did. I still haven't finished it, by the way. So I'm on the last level. But it looks good. It's running good. And we could tweak it further, but I think it's good just to see what it's able to do. So, good stuff. All right. Well, I got my B-roll done. That was my goal for tonight. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. And I am glad that you all joined in to watch me play around with this computer. Because this is the first, I always love getting like the first of the new chip generation, because there's always something, right? So, and let me just make a note here for FPS, and then Dolphin. Perfect. I always love getting the new generation of whatever is out there, right? So this is the new generation AMD chip. The most powerful one is the one we're starting with. And then, like I said, I also got in the Lenovo version, so we've got both of those. So Tech and Code says, yeah, I guess there's some new Star Wars thing coming out, but I don't think anyone knows what the game is, right? I should check it out and see what it's doing. Fast and Furious says I should join. I did talk to Floatplane, and it's on the list of things to do. There is a cost for, not to join them, but there's a cost for me to get my content up there. So that's the only thing that I'm reluctant about at the moment, partly because it just takes us so long to upload anything, and if I'm going to upload my whole catalog, that's going to take Jake a while to do. And of course, the connection speed issue. So I'll probably go and do it once my connection speed improves, because it won't be as expensive to, from a labor standpoint. So Tech and Code just got the Amplify Alien. Yeah, that's it. They've got some good stuff. So I use the Unify, which is their enterprise networking equipment, and they have, and we're gonna have a video about this in the next couple of days, because I got their Dream Machine router, and I've set up some VLANs for my IoT devices and my guests, and we're going to talk about how I configured that with the Unify in an upcoming video this week. So that's good stuff. Randy says you can still run Pod Racer. Yeah, that was a good game. People like that one. So did you see Disney Plus has this roundtable series on The Mandalorian? And thank you, Zam. I appreciate your your contribution. That'll help. That will, honestly. I appreciate that, because actually all the super chats and the Patreon, those dollars are directed to our labor costs. So for Jake and James, who helped me out, James is doing some uploads and stuff for me. All those funds go right to them. So that covers the payroll essentially. But what was I saying? So they have a roundtable series on The Mandalorian, and Dave Filoni gave the absolute best. If you listen to him talk about The Phantom Menace, it will make sense to you as to why things happen the way they do. And it was great. So I'm not going to give any spoilers away on The Mandalorian. It is a great show. But The Phantom Menace, which has been out for 20 years, I think you all know what happened. But so here's what he was talking about. Remember the theme song of the fight between Darth Maul and the Jedi? Is called Duel of the Fates. And I never understood why they called it that. And he said the reason they called it that is that Qui-Gon is kind of like the father figure for Anakin. He has attachments that Jedi are not supposed to have, right? And he could be the father to Anakin that he's never had. And he could show him love and can, have that connection to him. And Obi-Wan, as the series develops, as you know, is more of a brother figure to him. He's not the father. He's you know, adopted the Jedi tactic or the Jedi policy of not having attachments and love and any other thing but the Force, right? So the duel of the fates, as Filoni explains it, is that the fight is for Anakin's future. Is he going to have that father figure in his life, or is he just going to have Obi-Wan the brother with no attachment? All right? And that's the duel of the fates. Watch it, because he explained it much better than I did. But it was just and this guy, because Filoni is the guy behind. So Favreau did all the stuff, but Filoni was like the guy, right? And Filoni is kind of like the George Lucas whisperer. He knows, you know, he knows Star Wars and knows what George thinks about Star Wars, but he executes. So he did Rebels, the great cartoon series. He did the Clone Wars. Just watch it if you have Disney Plus. It's great. So, all right. Okay, everybody. I'm going to call it an evening. I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching me play around with a new generation AMD Ryzen processor. And the early opinion is that they have done good here. This thing is super fast, reasonably priced, attractive laptop more or less. Yeah, I'm pretty good with it. So, but, you know, I got more to do with it, but I'll be shooting the review tomorrow. And we'll go from there. Okay, everybody, so thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to stop the stream now. I'm going to say goodbye to our Amazon friends. Thank you for tuning in. And I am now going to hit this button here, and then I'm going to stop my media live, which should cut me off from all of you. So I will see you again very soon. We'll probably stream a few more times this week, so more to come. And thanks for watching. It was kind of fun to start with the rocket launch and then play with a laptop. This has been a great night for me. So great. See you, everybody. I'm going to bed. Bye-bye.